I've tested a lot of pistol red dots on this channel, but I'm not sure I've put more rounds through any of them than the Holosun EPS. I bet I've got at least 2,000 rounds on this optic by now, and it's working really well. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. Today, I want to talk about the Holosun EPS, or enclosed pistol sight. It is, well, it's a pistol red dot, but it is an enclosed emitter pistol red dot. And the reason that I want to do a video about the full-size EPS is because I think everybody knows about the EPS carry that I've got here on the P365 build. I carry this optic all the time. It is also an enclosed emitter optic. They're pretty much the same thing, but one is just a little bit smaller. And today, we're talking about the bigger one. Now, there is a little bit of an issue with the EPS, and that is this. It's not an issue to me, but Holosun made both the EPS and the EPS carry with their K series footprint, meaning 407, 507K, which is for smaller optics. So the full-size EPS just doesn't seem to be as popular because it doesn't use a full-size footprint. But if you have your slide milled for it, I think that it is maybe the best enclosed emitter red dot on the market. For some reason, people still believe that to have an enclosed emitter red dot, that it has to have a small window, but Holosun EPS begs to differ. Of all of my pistols that I own, this Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 is the one that I trust the most. Now, that's not to say that I don't trust my SIG, my other Smith & Wesson Shield Plus here. Even my Prodigy, it's been perfectly reliable through thousands of rounds. There's just something about this. It's got the pedigree of reliability, just like Glock does. So just because all of my other pistols have been mostly very reliable, this one has also been reliable for everyone else. And so for some reason in my head, that just makes me trust it a little bit more. And so this is like my duty pistol. Now, I'm not a cop. I'm not in the military. I don't use it for duty, but it's my bedside pistol. It's the one that I travel with. It's the pistol that I trust, and I actually feel like I shoot it very well also. And so, of course, I have my favorite light on it, the TLR-1 HL from Streamlight. I think this is the best pistol light you can get. I like it even better than the Surefire X300, and I have my favorite optic on it as far as pistol optics go. Now, why do I love the Holosun EPS? Well, I do trust Holosun quite a bit at this point. I've got a lot of their optics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got a bunch of Holosun optics. But this is my favorite pistol optic that they make. Now, I don't even have the multi-reticle system one. I have the 6 MOA dot, which I think is absolutely perfect. Now, I love a donut of death circle dot reticle on a rifle optic. EOTech's, it's my favorite reticle. The Holosun 512C here, same type of reticle. This one just has a 6 MOA dot, and I picked 6 MOA rather than 2 MOA because it just picks up super easily, and it is as precise as I need to be. I've made 100-yard shots with this red dot actually pretty easily because I've had it on this pistol now for quite a while. I've got at least a couple thousand rounds through this pistol with this optic on it. It's been through 2 pistol classes, and each class was like 400 or 500 rounds. This optic has been through a lot. It's been perfectly reliable, and it has all of the features that I want and none of the features that I don't want. Specifically, when it comes to pistol optics and it being an enclosed emitter, it doesn't have a tiny little window like a lot of them do. This video is brought to you by Aura. While I trust this specific pistol to protect me from physical threats. I trust Aura to protect me from online threats. And you can too, for only $12 a month. But if you use my link down below, that's aura.com/sawtoothtactical, you can try it out for 2 weeks. That's 14 days, absolutely free to see if it is worth it to you or not. But for that $12 a month, I think it is absolutely worth it. And let me tell you what Aura has done for me, because I've been using it for about 10 months now. And I've been really happy with it. I get really annoyed when I get spam calls and spam emails all the time. I also get really annoyed, kind of pissed off, when people call me and try to scam me. Well, Aura, they go online on the regular internet and the dark web. They find anywhere where your information has been leaked, and they send an opt-out request to data brokers. And so then scammers and spammers and anybody else doesn't have access to your information anymore. They did that for me within the first day that I had it. I got a list of all of the data broker lists that I was on that I'm not on anymore, and I don't get spam anymore. I don't get scam calls anymore. And that's been a big deal to me, and it absolutely worth $12 a month, and definitely worth trying for free for 2 weeks. Besides that, they'll take care of all your password management. They will protect your home title. They do just all kinds of stuff. Parental controls if you want to use it. It's all of your online security all in one place, and it's very cheap. $12 a month. But again, 2 weeks, 14 days, free if you use my link, aura.com/sawtoothtactical. I've taken 2 pistol classes with the EPS on the M&P 2.0 here. It's done really well. I have used a lot of different pistol red dots. That seems to be the number one thing that companies send to my channel to review. And so I've reviewed a lot of them. I've tried a lot of them. From the lowest of the low end, companies you've never even heard of that have sent me their red dots, and some of them have worked well, and some of them have not held zero. All the way up to, Aimpoint and their ACRO P-2, which I ran on the Staccato XC at this last summer. And just about everything in between. I've used Trijicon RMRs, I've used them all. And I still think that the Holosun EPS is my favorite pistol red dot. Now, why is that? Well, for one thing, I trust Holosun at this point. I've got a lot of their red dots, and none of them have let me down. Not a single one of my Holosuns has given me any trouble. But for 2 is this. It's an enclosed emitter dot. Now, do I think enclosed emitter is absolutely necessary? No, I don't. And I've got a lot of open emitter dots. I've got a 407C on that gun. I've got a 407C on this one. I've got, actually that is a Sealy that I'm testing out on this one right now. It's actually doing very well. But normally it has a 407K on it. I do have the EPS carry on my P365 build there. And I think that it is probably my favorite concealed carry size red dot. The EPS series, they did a very good job on. Why do I think it's so good? Well, for one, it is totally rugged. I can rack the slide off this dot. I can do whatever. I've gone through a couple pistol classes with it. I have shot thousands of rounds with this red dot, and I've never had an issue. It holds zero. It works every time. It's as bright as I need it to be on the brightest of sunny days, or I could turn it down and use it under night vision, and I have, and I do. This is, along with my Mark 18 here, this is the pistol that I take out when I go shoot under nods, and it works fantastic. When you're shooting under night vision with a pistol optic, it's actually very cool. So the way night vision works, you can really only focus it at one distance. So at night, I focus it where my targets are at, not where my pistol is at in front of my face. As long as you present correctly, all you really see is that dot on your target, and it's just really easy to make hits with. And they do that because, well, it has night vision settings as far as the brightness goes. It's an extremely easy optic to use. Now, It's got a side-loading battery tray there, and so you don't have to remove it to change the battery like you do with a Trijicon RMR. Very easy plus and minus buttons for your brightness adjustment. All the same stuff that you want out of a pistol optic, but again, enclosed emitter. And so if I am at night and something that would maybe get in an open emitter optic, well, it can't get in this. Anything that's dirty on this, grab one of these, wipe off the back glass, wipe off the front glass, whatever, and it's gonna work just fine again. And that's a nice thing at night in the dark, because something did get in there in front of my emitter when I'm under nods and I can't really focus up close well, then that could be a problem. And this makes it not a problem. The big thing about enclosed emitter dots, though, is a lot of people seem to be under the impression that to gain the benefits of a closed emitter, you're going to have a red dot with a very small window and a big housing around it, kind of, well, just making it harder to use. And Holosun, well, they said no, it doesn't have to be that way. One of the things I love about going out shooting every weekend is it gets me outdoors. Summer or winter, it's beautiful and it's fun. Holosun EPS M&P 2.0 full size. I did a video, I think the summer before this last one, about open emitter versus closed emitter red dots. And I did that video when Sealy sent me their Sealy Bear optic, which actually I could grab real quick just to show you what I'm talking about. This is the Sealy Bear. Now, as you can see, and this optic, to be 100% honest here, has not let me down one bit. It still works great. It is still held 0. But I get so many pistol red dots that, one of them comes off a gun, another one goes on sometimes. Well, take a look at this compared to like the Holosun 407C here. And look at the difference in window size and the difference in the size of just the housing itself. Now this, I think, was made kind of as a clone of the Aimpoint ACRO P-2. Now it's not exactly a clone by any means, but very similar form factor, and I have shot the Acro as well on that Staccato XC. Well, take a look at this. This is the Holosun EPS, also enclosed emitter. Look at the difference in sight picture there, as well as just height. This one requires a plate to mount. It's going to set up higher, and it's just this big square that kind of feels like you're looking through a tube, through a straw or something. Now, if I compare the EPS to the 407C here, which is a regular open emitter, full size, pistol optic, look at the window size there. It's comparable. In fact, I think it's maybe a little bit bigger. So you get just as big of a window. You don't get a giant housing blocking any of your view, which I understand, target focus. You're not staring at the optic when you're shooting. You're looking at the target and you're just, overlaying the dot on it. But I've just found that with this optic, it is easier to find my dot quickly and to stay on target than it is with something like this or with something like the Aimpoint ACRO. It just plain works for me. And besides that, it sits extremely low. Now, compared to another Holosun optic here, look at the deck height of the 407C, 507C series. Look at the deck height of the EPS and how low it is. I have it mounted on my M&P 2.0 here, and I do not have suppressor height sights. And you can co-witness these sights through this optic, the standard sights that come from the factory on the M&P 2.0. Now this is one of the older M&P 2.0s. It was the one that came with the shitty hinge trigger, which I've obviously replaced with a flat-faced Apex trigger, which honestly made this gun so much better, so much more shootable. Apex trigger is the way if you have an M&P. But also, this pistol did not come optics ready. So I had to send the slide off and get it cut for an optic. So this Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 did not come optics ready. I had it milled specifically, well, for the Holosun K series, which the EPS uses that footprint. And man, I love this setup. Now at the time that I sent this slide off to get cut, I was a certified poor. I'd never had a pistol optic. I didn't know how much I was going to fall in love with pistol optics. And I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on a pistol optic, but I knew I wanted to try one. Holosun seemed to be the brand that people trusted, that you could get something for less than 500, 600 bucks. So I bought this. This is the 407K. This was at the time, and I think still is, Holosun's cheapest pistol red dot. And so I got my slide cut for this 407K because I wanted something I could rely on that wasn't going to be trash, but I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money at the time. Now the 407K is not an appropriate optic for a full-size pistol, but I didn't know this at the time. This was a long time ago. You could see the difference in size there. This is made for, well, for a carry gun. And so that's what it goes on now. In fact, this has moved from this gun to my P365, which now has an EPS carry, to my Shield Plus carry comp, which now I'm testing a Sealy optic on. So this has been on 3 different pistols, and it's a great little optic. What I didn't know at the time is I was making a very good decision. Because I cut this slide for that K footprint, once they came out with the EPS, it was the perfect optic for this M&P. Uses the K size footprint, which again, smaller footprint, so I didn't have to move my iron sights. And I was able to set the full size EPS very low into the slide of this pistol and have a good full size enclosed emitter optic direct mounted, which honestly, if you can go direct mount versus a plate system, it is a better way to go. I've got a direct mount optic on this pistol, this pistol, this pistol, and this pistol, and a plate on this one. The only one that's giving me a problem with screws coming loose and stuff like that is the one with the plate. And it's not that the optic has come loose from the plate would come loose from the pistol. So I'm a believer in direct mounting if you can. Now, I know that most pistols that you buy new these days come with, they come optics ready. Different systems out there. Some of them are coming out now where you can mount multiple optics without plates. But if you are going to get the Holosun EPS, I do recommend, the EPS full size goes on a full size pistol, right? But a full size pistol is rarely, or maybe never, going to be cut for the K footprint. That is the drawback of this optic, I think, for most people. Obviously, not for me, it worked out perfectly for me. But for most people, they're going to use a plate with this optic. It comes with a plate to adapt to the RMR footprint, which I think kind of, negates some of the benefits of this optic being the low deck height and all that. That kind of sucks. And the funny thing about it is Holosun doesn't even send the correct screws to mount this to a K footprint cut, which I think is really funny. They just expect you to use the plate, the adapter, and mount it to the RMR footprint on some pistol. And I get that probably 90% of the time, that is what's going to happen. And that's a shame because honestly, direct mounting this with a K series optics cut is the way to go where you get all the benefits of this optic. So who do I think this optic is for? Well, I think that it's a really good pistol optic. It's been 100% reliable, and it's got a big window, and it's enclosed emitter, and it's simple, and it's got a side-loading battery, and it works under nods, and it works in the bright sunshine. It does everything that I want a pistol optic to do, and you can direct mount it really low, but you have to cut your slide for it to do that. Because otherwise, this is really only going to direct mount to, well, guns like this that come cut for the K footprint. That's awesome if you're using an EPS carry. But this video is about the EPS specifically because everyone knows about the EPS carry. I see them everywhere. Every subcompact carry gun has an EPS carry on it these days. But I don't see very many people running the EPS. So this is for people that want to cut their slide, in my opinion, that don't have an optics ready system with plates and all that. If you have a pistol that is not optics ready, cut it for the K footprint, get the Holosun EPS. I promise you will not be disappointed. Take it from me, someone who has used a lot of pistol optics. This is my favorite pistol optic. The Holosun EPS is fantastic. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. The only negative I could say, again, is that they made it for a footprint that nobody has on a full-size pistol. But if you can cut your slide for the K-size footprint, this is like the perfect red dot in my opinion. And closed emitter with a big window. That is kind of a rare thing. Plus it doesn't look goofy as hell. You know, the Trijicon RCR, I'm sure it's a great optic, but it looks like this giant freaking square box up on your gun. I don't like it. I haven't used it, but I just don't like the way it looks. This one looks just fine. It looks like a traditional red dot, but with an enclosed emitter with glass on the back. And I think that that is pretty sweet. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Let me know down in the comments though, do you use the Holosun EPS? Do you use the EPS carry? And if you use the EPS, do you use an adapter plate, or have you sent a slide off, got it cut, and have it direct mounted? Because I think that that is the best way to get all of the benefits of the EPS, specifically the low deck height. I mean, this optic sits super low in this slide. And that's one of the things I love about it. It seems like a lot of enclosed emitter optics sit a lot higher up. A lot of them need different adapter plates, different cuts. There are pistols now being made cut for the ACRO P-2, so you can get it to sit lower. And the ACRO, I think, is a pretty good looking mailbox style optic, to be quite honest. But when you look through it, I mean, I ran that Staccato XC on it, or with the ACRO on it last summer. And the only thing I wasn't really super stoked on was honestly the ACRO. It's a good looking optic, but looking through it, it's just not as easy to use as this is with this nice big window. So you don't have to have a tiny window with an enclosed emitter. You don't have to have a big bulky housing, and you don't have to have an optic that sits up super high. You can have none of those things, but all the benefits of an enclosed emitter with a big window and a low deck height with the Holosun EPS. And I think that it is fantastic. It's my favorite pistol optic. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Everybody's got their own opinions, but I really do think that this is great. Now, 508T, great optic as well. 509T, great optic as well. there's a lot of good pistol optics, and I think Holosun makes a lot of them. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped to get clapped.